First, I want to ask you about the hurricane and the president's response to it. Obviously, you were there in the White House with him for the start of his term as president. Just kind of go through some of the things that he has to keep an eye on, which I would imagine is a pretty difficult task given the fact that he's in the middle of a presidential campaign. Just kind of talk about some of the things that he's had to deal with over the past couple of days.
Well, I mean, I will tell you, I mean, I remember when we were in the first, I think, 6 months, there was a major flood in North Dakota, as well as I think that obviously when the coast was hit in the southeast and the Gulf, dealing with BP and the emergency response by FEMA and making sure you marshal every federal resources to help the communities, help the residents, help the states get themselves back on the feet and deal with that crisis. And I think one of the improvements, without a doubt, that President Clinton made was enhancing and strengthening FEMA, bringing a professional organization. I think we all saw what happened to New Orleans when you don't have a good federal response. And now you've seen post what a federal government can do to step in, help states, help communities, and even Governor Christie from New Jersey recognized and thanked the president personally for it. So he's in there in the Situation Room. You bring all the federal resources that are there to literally back up state and localities and communities so they can weather this and get back on their feet again. And that's the most important thing, and making sure people are accountable and nothing slips through the cracks because one bureaucracy says this and another bureaucracy says that. Get everybody straight and narrow, focused on serving the states, localities, and most important, the communities that need to recoup.
And you have the unique distinction now, of being someone who not only saw what it was like in the White House, but now you're a local official that could be on the other end of it. And do you think that the way FEMA operates is appropriate? You mentioned that the president streamlined that a bit. Are those improvements, were they necessary to deal with response to disasters like this?
Well, you know what's interesting? I mean, I've been fortunate. I've worked for two presidents, been on the other side in Congress with another president. I remember how President Clinton brought a professionalization to FEMA's response. And that may have been because he, as a governor, knew that firsthand how important that was. I think we all saw as a country what happened when New Orleans was hit, the lack of coordination, the lack of capacity. And I saw firsthand with President Obama by his side when North Dakota was affected with major floods, how the federal government can come in and behind and help a community gets started. We've seen it here in our state when Mississippi River overflew and affected a lot of residents. And the federal government can marshal resources that every locality and every state cannot do on their own. They can't replace it, but they can bring an intensity and a level of resources to a neighborhood, to a community, to a locality that they can then stand up and help everybody weather this and get back on their feet and get moving again. And let me, one last thing, only the Commander-in-Chief, only the President of the United States can make sure everybody is pulling their oar in the same direction rather than pulling at different directions and not have a single strategy or a single kind of comprehensive response. Only the President can demand that and see it through.
Okay, that's a good point. And let's talk now about the politics, and obviously we're now just a week away from Election Day, and there seems to be some movement in the polls in the Midwest, maybe in Wisconsin, Minnesota, areas that you're relatively close to in Chicago. Do you view the opportunities that Governor Romney may have in some of these states, or do you think that Republicans are perhaps overstating the momentum that they have in places like Wisconsin and Minnesota, and even in Ohio, where the president's led for most of the election?
Right. Well, I just came out of Ohio this weekend, so let's kind of go. They're all the states are unique and distinct. 1 out of 8 jobs in Ohio are affected by the auto industry. When the president came into office, the unemployment rate in Ohio was above 10%. Today it's at 7%. It's had a 3% drop. That's about 150,000 jobs. Why? Because he had the courageous decision to stand by the auto worker and the auto communities and help them get back on their feet. And you could see that through the rural parts of the economy with agriculture doing better. The industrial part of the economy that we have here in the Midwest is so affected, not as intensely as Ohio, but by the auto industry. That decision alone, all the studies have shown, saved 1.2 million manufacturing jobs. And imagine if the decision had gone the way that Governor Romney suggested. And second is the president has a plan, and has not only a plan and economic strategy to strengthen the middle class, And Governor Romney has a plan that, in my view, shortchanges the middle class. And that's a fundamental difference. They may have different views on how to help homeowners. Governor Romney said, let it hit rock bottom so the investors can come in. President Obama's view is, what do we got to do to help people stay in their home? The auto industry, dramatic different views. Governor Romney, let it go bankrupt. President Obama, not on my watch. And we know the consequences, and we're a stronger country for the decisions the president's made. But they're all fundamentally based on working families, middle-class families, being able to own a home, have a job, save for their kids' college education, have health care where they don't go bankrupt because of their one illness, and also save for their retirement. If you do those right, make the right type of investments, a middle-class based economy, you'll have a strong, healthy economy for everybody to succeed.
To that end, as you point out that the jobs and the economy are probably the most important issue in this election, do you think that the upcoming jobs report is going to have any impact on voters' decisions, or do you think that voters kind of look at their own personal situation and make an assessment as to how they stand according to that?
Well, Ryan, first of all, they've had, I think, if you've seen, I think the survey on consumer confidence is up at the highest level it's been in 4 years. I remember 3.5 years ago, the stock market was at 6,000. It's now at 13,000. It has grown dramatically. But all those are good signs. Jobs are slowly coming back. We have a lot of hard work ahead of us. And the president's plan is to build on that hard work, but intensify it by investing in our people and investing in our physical infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our schools, our airports. Because you cannot have a 21st century economy on a 20th century foundation. And if you invest in those, the economy will not only create jobs, but grow faster and stronger.
I want to ask you about the situation with Libya, especially kind of from your view as a former chief of staff. And that's something that Republicans continue to attack the president on in terms of not only the response to it, but kind of the differing opinions that came out of members of his administration in the moments after. Do you think that the president handled that situation as well as he possibly could have given the situation? Or do you think that there needs to be more information brought to light as to exactly what the White House knew and when they knew it?
Yeah. Well,
regarding that attack?
Two things. Look, you have changing intelligence assessment of what happened. What the president did is what a commander-in-chief needs to do. One is comfort those who've lost families. Two, order an entire review of what happened, who was responsible, and then bring justice to those that are responsible, as he did with Osama bin Laden and al-Awlaki in Yemen, and the other parts of the al-Qaeda leadership. So a commander-in-chief has ordered a comprehensive review top to bottom. I then also making it a priority, not only what happened, but who's responsible for having it happen. And then third, and finally, bring them to justice. And he has done that with Osama bin Laden. And again, a difference with Mitt Romney, who would said it's not worth all the resources to hunt one man down. President Obama took a different position, and you know the results. Osama bin Laden has now been brought to justice finally for this country, as has 20-plus members of the al-Qaeda leadership based in Pakistan. Second, he did that with al-Awlaki in Yemen. That's exactly what you want out of a commander-in-chief, accountability and leadership.
But in terms of the response immediately after, should have there have been more of a kind of coordinated effort by the White House to view?
All right. Look, here's the thing. You have changing views by the intelligence agencies. It's plural. You have the CIA. You have the national security. You have defense intelligence. It is evolving when you had an incident like that. What you shouldn't be doing is rushing to a judgment about anything. What happened there? The president there was changing attempts to make sure the public was fully aware. When the information was available, they kept making that available. In the end of the day, what matters is finding out what happened, who's responsible, and bringing them to justice. And I'm absolutely clear and confident that's exactly what the president's going to do.
All right, Mayor Emanuel, we certainly appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.